Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. My name's David and this is my channel. Today's video is called Understanding the 5 Laws of the Universe. It's so imperative to understand the laws of the universe. Abraham Hicks talks about it, Bashar talks about it, these specific laws I've gotten from Bashar. Yeshua talks about it in the Way of Mastery, in the Course in Miracles. There's this consistent conversation and getting to us so we can understand these laws, because if you can create a structure of truth, only then can you take the madness, the insanity of the ego and the separation that the ego is somewhat created and put it within these laws, and it will correct it. Does that make sense? It will correct it automatically. So I've taken a lot of the disarray and the chaos of my life, and I put it within the structure and the parameters of these laws, and then it speaks everything to me where I need to let go and how I need to see it from a new perspective, because these laws are absolute. And as a healer, I follow these laws. And as a martial artist and Tai Chi practitioner, I follow these laws in my Kung Fu school. And as a spiritual teacher or guide, I follow these laws with my clients. That way, any relationship I'm in, we both belong to this concept of this absolute idea of who we are. You follow? So we can both learn and grow from it. And I learn and grow all the time by following these laws. So I want to share them with you because it is really important, and you will see where all my content has come from. They all come from this understanding of these laws. So the first law is I exist. Now let's talk about this. See, I exist doesn't mean that just me, I exist, David. It means the I am exists. Now that I am is my personal individual consciousness that I am. And everything is, like we've talked about, this synchronicity. Everything I see is part of that I am structure. I am the cause and it is my effect. But it's also the understanding that that I am can turn into your I am and someone else's I am. And then eventually it is just the great I am. The I am discourses that I read, the presence of God, the one presence. Jesus talked about the Christ. He didn't say he was the Christ. He said, I am the Christ. We kind of might have got that a little misinterpreted. He was saying the I am. That means you, me, all of us. We all make one Christ, one Son of God. You see? What's good for one is good for all. So we are all considered that one Son of God, and we are all considered God itself from that perspective. So it just follows it right up into the wholeness from where we are. So as we zoom out and become more aware, you start understanding more and more how this I am and this I exist law will work for you. The ego has misinterpreted this law into I exist temporarily and death will take me away. This idea of, yes, I exist right now, but not permanently exist. So we don't feel this eternalness, we feel this temporary, so therefore we feel weak sometimes, and we misinterpret ourselves into a body that can be weak and frail or old. Do you see? But the more you look in terms of the spirit, the soul, and you really dig deep in who you are, you will see, I exist, and you are all one. And when you feel that oneness, you will feel that power and that strength. Now, the second law is there is only one moment. One moment. Now, that moment is connected. So the best way to explain it is the idea of Tai Chi. If I move like this, everything is one moment. Does that make sense? Everything is one moment versus these sporadic moments. Now, these are still connected. They just have resistance in between them. Can you see that? This is still one moment in time. There's no where we just disappear. We're one moment, you see. But there's resistance in between our moments sometimes. So now The ego has interpreted this into a past and into a future. And the past term seems to be missing something, the future seems to have it. So it's taken the present moment, which is one, for eternally one, that holds everything in this one moment, and it turned it into a past and future and made time. So that idea of time now creates a huge gap between the cutting in half of this one moment, if that makes sense. But the more you recognize that there's only one moment, the more you can sit back and recognize that that idea of attraction means that everything must be now, kind of like frames of a movie. And any type of potential in your life is happening right now, and you can tap into it. You can tap into it. You can tap into it. And the more you find this idea of one moment in time, the more you'll start getting visions of those different potential realities, right? And you will see that everything is going on right now, and you can just move into those different places the more you understand how this works. Now, this will help you understand that when you feel like something is in the future and you need to go get it, that would be out of this one moment. When you're saying the body hurts because of this happened, that would be out of this one moment. Do you see? Therefore, you're going to feel negative emotion anytime you move into a place that doesn't match this particular law. And I recommend these laws, if the only time you feel negative emotion is because your inner being knows these laws, operates within these parameters, and if you feel negative emotion, you can be sure that you are trying to make and create a reality that is not within these parameters. Therefore, you're going to feel this congestion. Okay. The third law is the law of attraction. What goes out must come back. This is that giving and receiving that we talk about all the time. Everything that's coming from you must come back to you. There is no true outside. That outside, where the ego has interpreted this law in a human way by cutting in half and putting the giving in one place and the receiving in another place. Now I must go get from the world. I don't have something, and now I need to go get it. I need to go get it from them, and they're not giving it to me. Why are they doing this to me? And it creates this outside push back against us, and it creates resistance between these two places. But the reality is that you call everything to your life vibrationally. Therefore, everything is a projection coming back to you. And I call it, the idea of Tai Chi is your body moves and then your tail comes through. You see, as the lower half and the upper half come together, the lower half moves and then the upper half comes, and it's like its tail. So it's the same thing. That outside world, the more you understand it, is a feedback loop. That's why we can react to it. It is coming in, but it is indeed the back of you, not the front of you. It's like your tail coming back to you. Does that make sense? It feels like it. Once you recognize that it's not separate from you, you will understand that it's coming back to you and delivering all your belief systems of how you see things consistently. And if you ever want to prove this law, it's simple. Just look at something and see what it tells you. It will tell you some kind of meaning based on a belief that you believe. And you will see, as you look out in the world, it talks to you. And it will tell you not what it is, because it is neutral. It will tell you what you believe it is. And then you will see, wow, what I'm giving is coming back all the time. All the time. You'll drive down the road, see a car or see somebody, and automatically you'll have meaning coming back to you. And you'll say, I didn't give that to them, but you did. It's like this automatic meaning that's coming out. And as it comes back, does it create a negative feeling to you or a positive feeling to you? Do you see? That's called unconscious. It's unconscious that what's coming back to you is now unconscious. And the more you recognize it, wow, do I have to feel that way about them? Do I have to believe that about that? Do I have to see this like that? You will start, that's self-inquiry. You'll start debunking this idea that that world is indeed not coming from you, and you will see that it is 100% always coming from your belief that you have created. The question is always, is that belief matching the five laws? One. And is it matching your higher self? If you're looking at death and seeing someone who you think is dead, and you feel that negative emotion, that sadness, that's because it's not matching the law that says, I exist. Therefore, you are pushing against your higher perspective that says that's not true. And that's why the negative emotion is coming in. Does that make sense? The next one is the one is all and the all is one. Everything is the oneness. So that means you have that individual consciousness, so to speak, but you have the collective consciousness. Now, the ego has reinterpreted this law by saying we each are the I, but we serve a whole society. So it creates this society, this human society out there that we have to please somehow, or we have to fight against, or we have to worry about, or we have to be a part of, or we have to conform to. So it has cut this idea that the one and that the all is not true. You can see this in the form of a circle. If you take a circle and you put a dot in the middle, you'll see the one and the all. They are both circles. And this is how the universe works always. There is this understanding of consciousness from one perspective eternally, but at the same time, its perspective includes the whole of all consciousness. Okay? So as you expand more and more with your inner being, you will understand this in a bigger and bigger and bigger way, that you are indeed not small, you are big, and you are expansive. But we can't do that as long as we take the wholeness of who we are, so to speak, and put it outside of us into a society or into an outside world that we have to conform to, that we have to fight with, that we have to be afraid of. Does that make sense? So it is taking these two and put them in two different places. And now the fifth law is everything else besides these four laws changes. So you will always exist. There will always only be one moment, no matter how the ego interprets it. There will always be what comes out comes back in. What goes out must come back in. What goes out must come back in. You'll see it everywhere. Just look around. I recommend taking these laws, especially these four, and just look around the world. You'll see them everywhere. Everywhere. And then now you can use them in your life to see, am I seeing these in my life? And then any place you have negative emotion, I can assure you, any place that's kicking back at you is moving against one of these four laws. Guaranteed. And the more you find it, the better you're going to feel, the more you're going to let go of that belief that's causing all of that discomfort and that congestion between what you believe and your higher self believes. That's where congestion comes from. Two belief systems that are not matching. This is the only thing that causes congestion and causes negative emotion, is a belief system from your higher perspective that is always including these laws, and your belief system that you have temporarily created that doesn't match it. And now you guys are pushing against each other. Okay? Now, the fifth law, everything changes, meaning that this world, like the sands of the desert, like the water that we talked about, it's changing. It's not something you have to do. The heart beats, the breath comes in. Notice you can't stop it. You cannot stop change. That's why it's a law. It is always, always changing. If I sit right here, things will change automatically. No matter how still I go, there's always movement. That's the idea of the Zen saying there's movement in stillness and stillness in movement. You're always changing. My life is changing. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes right now? Because I'm in every moment of time that ever existed. As crazy as that is, you have to sit with this. Your higher self will help you interpret it in the way that's doable, or rather that's working for you, right? So everything else is changing. Now that's nice to know. That means that if we hold on to these four laws and we implement them into our life to the best of our ability, find out in our life where we're feeling negative emotion, pertain it to these four laws so we can let go of a belief that is not matching our higher perspective's truth of what they believe or what they know, then now we can just let the fifth one be as it is and let the world change. This is why you'll hear spiritual, highly spiritual people say, just let everything go. Let it be. Everything works. It just works. If you trust it, it will work. The only thing that stops our life from evolving and expanding is a belief system that we have in place unconsciously that are moving against these four laws. I exist only one moment in time. The law of attraction or law of vibration or what goes out must come back, the giving and receiving energies, And the one is all, and the all is one. I recommend write these down because now it gives you a structure to go move and conform your life to something that is true. If you conform your life to all those opinions, that's why everybody's bickering. They have no structure to conform everything to, just ones they've made up. Does that make sense? It's easy to argue as to what, no, I'm right, you're right. There's nothing to structurize it to. But I can assure you, when you see these in nature and you see them everywhere, you will say, wow, these are absolute. Now you conform your whole world to these, and you will let go of these beliefs that no longer match who you are and that are causing all congestion inside your energy and stopping all the abundance from coming into your life. Take this with you. As always, it is my pleasure and it is my passion to share. I have learned in my life everything I learn, I share. Don't hold anything in. You have to share it with the sonship. And then, of course, as always, it is up to you what you receive from that. Hit the liking button if it's speaking to you. Subscribe and share. Keep the comments coming. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. So much love for all of you. And as always, my unconditional love and appreciation.